My sister and her fiance went back home to Tennessee. I'm now here on the cultivating tractor, and I'm gonna head out to cultivate the onions and maybe the mid-season cole crops. Before I headed up to the onions with the cultivator, I wanted to come down here to the potato field. Dad is in the process of hilling them. And if you don't know what hilling potatoes is, it's basically the process of digging a little bit of a trench between the rows and throwing that extra dirt on the potatoes, because what happens is as these potatoes get bigger underneath the ground, they come closer to the surface, and if they start to hit sunlight, well, then they're going to turn green, and obviously that's not what we want. So we'll hill them 2 or 3 times to get that dirt piled up. That way the potatoes can keep growing and stay hidden underneath that dirt or that soil. It's nice to go through first with the cultivator and cultivate them to loosen that dirt. That way the hiller does a better job. But as you can see, he was actually starting to hit the potatoes because they're getting too big, meaning that they just can't be cultivated no more and they can only be hilled. I can see he did 1 row, maybe 2. It's actually a 2-row hiller, so he did 4 rows. But I see him fiddling with it down at the other end, so he must be adjusting something to make it even better. Well, that's not good. I see him driving away, heading back up towards the shed. So something must have went wrong or isn't right or broke, I don't know. But I guess he ain't coming out through. Well, that stinks, because now I gotta head back up to the other field and I won't get to see him hilling, and you guys won't get to see him hilling, but hopefully if he does it another time, I can get down here and show you how it works. I'm about halfway done with the onions and actually the mid-season cole crops. It's going really well, and the cool part is that because they're basically in the same field, I don't ever have to pick up my cultivator. I can just go straight on through and even get everything in between these 2 patches, which there's not many weeds there anyway, but if there is, I'm hopefully tilling them up and killing them for the most part. Like that was barely even rooted in there. And so, like I said, I've been at it for a while, and these were a little bit smaller than what I would have liked to have done them, but because I'm here, because we're supposed to be getting rain, I thought, you know, let's get them done. Not that I'm not gonna have to do them again, but it will be good, you know, just to get that soil loosened up and till up the few weeds that are here. The guys came up and weeded the onions here. I don't know if you remember from the last time I was up here, these like 3 rows were extremely bad, and you can see all the dead weeds now, which is awesome, because now if I till them back up under, these roots aren't gonna come back to life and the whole plant is just gonna stay dead. So I don't need to worry about that, but there is some weeds coming up in these rows that I do wanna get tilled up under or bring to the top and die. As far as the actual onions themselves go, they look awesome. If we would have got them in the ground earlier, they probably would be a little bit bigger, but they're not doing bad. And the good part is that the tops are still up, they're nice and green, meaning that they're still growing, and hopefully they're gonna grow until that bulb right there gets around 2 to 3 times the size of what it is right now. Although it really doesn't look any different to you guys, I'm done. I think it looks really good. This section here has got to be one of the rockiest sections that I've gone through yet with the cultivator this year. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. I went as slow as I possibly could have, but still I was bringing rocks up and flipping them right on top of the cabbage or whatever it may be that's here. And so I really struggled. I went back through like several different times, hopped off the tractor and flipped like these monsters off of the cabbage. You can still see there's a little bit of dirt on the leaves, which isn't gonna hurt anything. As long as the whole plant isn't covered with rocks, that was my main concern. Yes, I know you guys are gonna say, get a rock picker, get a rock picker. I'm not getting a rock picker. I don't know how much they cost, but I know that they're gonna cost tens, if not in the 50s of thousands of dollars, and I'm not spending that kind of money. You can still see how good the cabbage is doing in the rocks. Yes, that would have made it a little more convenient to not have these rocks here, but we've never struggled with the rocks. And so, yeah, it would be nice, but I'm not gonna do anything about it. I got the cultivator put away, got the 420 now hooked up to the water wheel planter. We're gonna move into planting the second and last batch of cantaloupe and watermelon. Not any more honeydew. We have 4 rows here, and then we have a half a row at the end of these watermelon. The only thing that's a shame is that to get out to that half row, we have to drive over all of these vines, and it's probably gonna kill a lot of them off, but there's no other choice. Dad's at the blue shed right now, filling 2 water tanks, one for each end of the field, so we can fill that water tank right there. I'm gonna go get probably the 4230 and get the wagon of plants, I think, unless there's not too many to where I can get them on the Kubota. I guess I'll figure that out when I get there. Right here's the cantaloupe, and then on the other side is the watermelon. Everything in the middle is the late season cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, all that kind of stuff, along with this whole wagon right here. And then we still have a couple flats yet, if you can see them, there in the greenhouse, which we're trying to get out because it's very, very hot in there. We just got filled up. We're heading out to start planting right now. We decided we're not gonna run over the vines to get out to this half row. We're just gonna run straight over the plastic to get to where we need to. Do you have the kill switch on?
Yeah.
We just got our first row and a half in. Filling up the water tank right now. Mom's throwing plants on.
They both take too much. Yeah.
Today we're going to be extracting some of our first garlic out of the ground. This right here is the piece of equipment that we're going to be using. This isn't actually considered a garlic extractor. This is a plastic lifter. It just happens to work out really well for the garlic. And so how it works is there's 3 discs in the front. This one goes right down the middle of the garlic. This and that one go down the edges of the garlic, cutting any kind of roots or hopefully weeds in half, helping these, whatever you want to call them, shoes, to lift the garlic out of the ground with ease. Because when you have a lot of weeds like we have, that's kind of viney, everything gets tangled up, but that's why the discs hopefully cut them as they're going through first, to make it simpler and easier to lift that garlic right out of the ground. So as you can see, that is for one row of plastic, but it works as a 2-row digger for our garlic. I just went through, did my first pass over here, and it ended up going very, very well. The garlic isn't exactly out of the ground, but it's very loose to where you can just pull it right up out and shake that dirt ball right off of there. That's exactly the way we want it to be. Over here, if you just tried to pull the garlic out by hand, you have to really tug, and you're putting a lot of stress on that bulb, which is not good. That's why that piece of equipment works so well. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it takes a little bit to get set up. I actually probably ruined around 50 or 75 bulbs just getting that thing set up perfectly so that it's digging up the garlic without going too deep, but also not going too shallow to where I'm cutting the bulbs off and ruining the garlic. I probably did this little section right here about 4 different times and ruined the garlic about every single time. I don't see, oh yeah, here's one. This is exactly what happens right here. If I can reach it. I run over the garlic, snap the top off, and that's just not good. So I'll get started here. I go pretty slow. This is not a fast process whatsoever. I'll take and I'll drop this down into the ground, just like that. And now as I go, if you can see those shoes in the back, we'll dig straight down into the ground. Just like that. You know it's flowing nice when the garlic passes straight through. Then I'll get out every once in a while and check it just to make sure I'm not harming them at all. That's perfect. Another thing that really helps with this process is moisture in the ground. You can see how dark that soil is, meaning that there is moisture in there. When it's hard and dry, it just doesn't want to dig down in, and again, I ruin the bulbs. But yeah, that's beautiful. We even went as far as to put like 100-pound weights on each side just to help those shoes again dig down in deep. All right, so I got my 4 rows done. Ended up going really well overall. Now that I got the hang of it, I think the rest of the rows will be a breeze. And so we're gonna have the guys now come back through here and pull these out, shake some of that dirt off, and then put them on piles. So basically they're gonna pull a bulb like this out. Just take their hand, give it a little bit of a brush, and then that is it right there. We'll throw it on a pile with around 50 of them. And we'll just go through them with a wagon, pick them up, and grab the whole field that way. I just came out here to the farm market with my dump trailer. When I had the corn maze and I had the fire pits, I had a stack of wood back in the corner just so I could keep restocking it. And obviously it's not needed no more. And because we're gonna be setting up for the Briggs Blues Festival in about 2 or 3 days, I wanted to get this out of there because I'm gonna need it, and there's no point in having it cluttered back there. So I just got everything out of there. There was like 2 snakes, which scared me a little bit, but the wood is really, really nice. It's very dry, and I don't think it's gonna be enough, but I think that if I could just get a little more, that should get me through, which luckily my pap Huffman said he's gonna help me out with that. We're gonna get some more just to top me off up at his cousin's, I think he said. But if you can see, I mean, I am just dripping, drenched with sweat. It's gotta be, I don't know if it's over 100, but the feel like it's definitely over 100 with the humidity and the sun, and just the sun beating down full bore. It's brutal outside. Because it's so hot, we like to turn the water on in the high tunnels, even though they may not need it, just to hopefully cool that plant down a little bit. I don't know if you can read that thermometer right there, but it's maxed out at 120. In the high tunnel, it's a little bit better because we have both sides rolled up right there behind me. So it allows air to flow through, but still, it's just very hot. And I'll do the same thing down here below. This one's a little bit better because it has the big fan down there at the end. I can't think of the name right now. Vent fan. I can't wait until these tomatoes start turning red. Mom just cleaned this one out yesterday, I think, of all the red, or mostly red. She still left some orange, you can kind of see down there. So now we gotta wait a couple days again until they ripen. While I was out at the market, Mom picked the first Lebanese squash and zucchini. So now there's no more buying zucchini. We didn't have any Lebanese at the market, but now we'll have probably straight on through the season until we get frost. The next job on the agenda is starting to get these washers ready to go because we're gonna be harvesting pickles in a couple of days. But we're having some problems with this washer right here. We just put new rollers on it, I think like 2 years ago. The sponges are pretty new, which you gotta replace those every like 2 years just because they get worn out. And even I think the belt is new. So the washer is in good shape. Oh, and we even put new water lines on it. But the problem we're having is that it's actually rusted right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually worse, yeah, right here. This has come loose, it just rusted right through. And so when we wash pickles, they get to right here and they fall down through, and then we have to basically just throw them away because they get ruined when they squeeze through that metal part there. And so this washer is in 3 sections. This section, and this section. We're gonna pull this one off and the end one off and take this to go get fixed up. That way, that hopefully doesn't happen no more. This should be pretty simple. There is a metal bar here and right here. I have to take off, along with, there's a chain I have to unhook from the gear on the other side, then this will pull right off. These washers are really nice because they're like complex, but also kind of very simple. I got the washer broken down into the 3 parts that I was saying. This is now the part we're taking, and we're trying to get it on a pallet because the wheels, just from not moving in how many years, are not spinning around. So we need the pallet jack just to move it wherever we need to.
All right, so we're gonna go on this side here again. I wish it was flat. I wish we had something that we could just run it on, but we gotta keep going on these boards. Okay, ready?
Yep. Mom and I got that washer on a pallet. Now we're gonna take it down to our cousin. He's gonna weld it, fix it up for us. Everybody's hot and tired. It was just a brutal day. Even the dogs are trying to stay in the shade as much as possible. Lily's underneath the wagon there.